to Harvard's 368th commencement. Dan Schrag, how wonderful to be with you again. I'm Diana Eck, professor of comparative religion and Indian studies, and Dan and I are sitting here high above ringside in the Tercentenary Theater.
Diana Eck, it's so great to be here with you again.
It is wonderful.
This is one of my favorite days of the year. It's, here we are, the yard is filling up with graduates, with parents, with families, and you can just feel the excitement of what's about to come.
You really can. And despite the fact that our background here has a kind of autumnal look, the truth is, this is springtime. It's May in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but the last time that Dan and I were here was for the inauguration of President Larry Bacow on October 5th. And this then will be his first commencement as president of Harvard University. This is an exciting time for both of us.
I gotta say, this is all about beginnings. Indeed, the word commencement really means beginning, and it comes from the old medieval age when an undergraduate degree was really the start of a career as a scholar, as an educator. Mm-hmm. But when you think about all of the students, and we're beginning to see some of the master's and doctoral students walking into the yard right now, you think about their potential and all of the things they're going to go out and do in the world. This is just a very exciting moment.
It is an exciting moment, and if they read the history of this in their programs, the first of these commencements was in 1642. There were only 9 commencers, and it was in the autumn. But now there are literally thousands of people who are graduating today with graduate degrees, PhDs, MAs, and of course the undergraduate degree, the Bachelor of Arts.
I think the potential to shape the world that will be sitting in this space is just so remarkable, and that's what's so exciting. And of course, there's also all of the families, the parents, both the ones that are able to be here today, and also the ones who weren't able to be here but are watching from afar. For them, this is just an incredibly important day, because behind each one of the graduates today, there's an important story. A story about family and about support and nurturing, and all to make it up to this moment in time.
Absolutely, and we had the pleasure last night of having a reception for all the parents of the students who were graduating at Lowell House. And what a wonderful, and some of their grandparents who had come from India and elsewhere to be here for this moment today. And so for those of you who are here in the Tercentenary Theater, this is a great and noisy and wonderful festival. But some of you are at home or in one of the places around Harvard where you can have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and relax while Dan and I talk a little bit about these festive rites that are taking place today.
That's right, and we can barely hear each other right now because of all of the man noise and the crowd noise. It's a wonderful time. Part of the fun of this ceremony is the pageantry.
Oh, it really is.
The old medieval costumes of academia, the robes and the different colors. For those of you who don't know, the colors of our robes represent our PhD granting institute.
So you were from Yale? No, this is
actually interesting. This is the University of California at Berkeley.
Oh, Berkeley, yeah.
Blue and gold.
Blue and gold.
Although the blue is Yale blue.
Oh, it is.
Because University of California was started by a bunch of Yale graduates.
Oh, really? Well, I have a red robe from Harvard, and then actually my what do you call this thing?
I think it's called a hood.
My hood, yes. My hood is from my honorary degree at Montana State University, which is also a blue and gold. So here am I, both of us in blue and gold. I love wearing this hood because it kind of has a sense of who I am. I came from Montana and did my doctorate here at Harvard.
Well, we'll see all of the colors.
Yeah.
There will be the Harvard crimson, which comes out looking a little bit like hot pink. But,
well, yeah.
But we will see the vast fields of bright pink or crimson, and then we'll also see all of the different colors represented by the faculty. And the diversity of that is part of the
And
fun.
what we see, I mean, the people who have a kind of pride of place in the graduate degrees are the PhDs, and we will we'll see the rest of the graduate
and they're following,
schools come in.
They're filing in right now. We'll see all of them. You know, before we get started talking about all the graduates, because we have a long time for the procession to happen.
Yeah.
This is a big commencement for you, Diana.
It really is.
You and Dorothy
absolutely.
House Deans of Lowell House for many years.
Yeah.
And this is your final
This is our final year as...
That's a big transition.
It is a transition. We are graduating from Lowell House today, too. And it's an exciting one. I mean, the first class that we gave diplomas to was 20 years ago in what was that? 1999. And today it's 2019.
The last millennium, right?
Yeah, really. And the other thing is very exciting about it is that Lowell House has itself undergone a great transition. For the last 2 years, we have been scattered in diaspora in different parts of the university. Yeah.
So Lowell will be coming back together.
Lowell is coming back together.
You know, my sister was in Lowell House.
Yeah.
I used to visit her when I was
in
high school, so I have warm memories of the Lowell House dining hall.
The dining hall, the courtyards. Well, we have kept track of this. Our sophomores and the sort of center of our house has been in what used to be the Inn at Harvard, and the sophomores live there. The juniors and seniors have been scattered around. Those are Lowell House flags that you're seeing waving, those blue ones. There they are, and there's the Lowell banner. So today we had our breakfast there in the dining hall of the Inn at Harvard. We made our procession here. Dorothy and I rode in a rickshaw so that we could sort of keep the pace of the procession. And then when we leave here, we're going back to the renewed Lowell House.
That's
it is very exciting. It'll be moving for us. It'll be moving for the seniors. Oh my heavens!
For those who don't know about the Harvard House system, you know, this really takes this enormous university and for undergraduates breaks it up into a much smaller community.
Yeah.
So your graduating class is what, about 125?
135, yeah.
And that just is a much more manageable size.
And it becomes a real community, absolutely. And this is the community that they live in. It's multi-generational. It includes tutors in graduate school. It includes faculty members in the senior common room. And then Dorothy and I, live right next door and eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner there.
I think the role of faculty dean, the faculty member in the house, really sets the tone for the spirit of the house.
Yeah.
To me, that's an enormous sacrifice and great service that you've made.
Well, it's kind of a sacrifice. It's also a real joy. I will say that. I mean, it's been really the best years of our lives at Harvard.
Well, it's enormous service, and I know that there are hundreds and hundreds of undergraduates who have you to thank for part of their experience.
But I think it's more like thousands. You know, the undergraduates gave us a wonderful sort of painting of Lowell House that had a computerized signature of more than 3,000 people on it, individually. Oh, it's really beautiful. Wonderful. Well, anyway, here we are today, a transition for students. It is a rite of passage for students as they leave the work and ordeals for some of a phase of their lives and the joys of that part of their lives as well.
There's an aspect of the ceremony that is special at Harvard, and we should describe it because it's about to happen, which is when the faculty and the president and the deans and all of the members of the overseers and the corporation, when they march into this theater, what they do is they actually walk through all of the undergraduate.
They do.
Undergraduates essentially line the path.
And you'll see that lining right there. These are undergraduates lining the central
all the way from
aisle.
The theater, all the way outside of the theater as well. And I've got to say, as a faculty member, when I used to walk in the procession, basically walking down a path lined with students who had taken your classes over the years, seeing all those faces, it is one of the best moments at commencement.
It is great. And it's wonderful for students, too. The first of the processions that follows down that path is the president's procession that is led, well, not by the president, but by the sheriff. And here you see the president's procession coming into, well, they're actually coming around University Hall at this point. but
They're just getting started.
Just starting. The sheriff of Middlesex County leads, and then the president and the provosts and the honorary degree recipients who have been garbed in their Harvard robes for the day. And we might recognize some of them, but we're not at liberty to say who they are,
well,
although we all know who they are now, especially the speaker.
Yes, we should also know that everybody knows the speaker this afternoon, Angela Merkel. And Angela Merkel, Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany. Dr. Merkel is a physical chemist.
Yes.
So she's a scientist who went into government and really has profoundly shaped the modern world. And you know, I have a sense that this afternoon we're going to hear something very special.
I will be right there. I probably will be right there watching it on television, but I'm very much looking forward to it.
Every now and then, these commencement speeches at Harvard are far more than just commencement speeches.
Yes, I'm sure that's true.
Remember back to 1947 when George Marshall, the then Secretary of State, came to Harvard to give a commencement address. Nobody expected the momentous speech he was about to make, where he laid out the vision for the U.S., the requirement that the U.S. needed to help Europe get back on its feet after World War II. That was the Marshall Plan, and ultimately he won the Nobel Peace Prize for that, and it changed the world.
And that was on the afternoon of commencement at Harvard in 1947.
Right. And so there's that, I think that history, everybody has a sense of that, and I think there's an expectation that Chancellor Merkel will share with us some insights in this very complicated world.
It really is. And, you know, with the recent elections in Europe and also her own anticipated stepping down in a couple of years.
And of course, the politics in the U.S. and around the world, and all of what's happening in China with China rising.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting time.
And one of the things that I learned last night only is that this is her first visit to Boston and has never been to Harvard before, so she's going to see Harvard in all of its huge diversity today.
Well, that's something that's very special, I think, about Harvard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we have sometimes call universities ivory towers.
Oh, yeah.
And Harvard, in some ways, is. Harvard is not a normal place. Harvard is, an incredible community of educated people, passionate people, interested people, and isn't necessarily reflective of everything going on in the world. But I would say this, that of all of the universities I've ever been at, Harvard may be the most connected to the world of any university.
And connected through these many graduate schools, as well as through the huge diversity of its undergraduate population.
That's right. We have students from all over the world, and we have faculty engaged in all the world. For example, I think of our colleague Ricardo Hausmann, a professor at the Harvard Kennedy School, who's an economist, a development economist, who until very recently ran the Center for International Development there. But Ricardo Hausmann was the planning minister of Venezuela before Chavez came to power.
Heavens,
and right now, the struggle that's going on in Venezuela, the tragic collapse of the economy in Venezuela due to the corruption of the Maduro regime, what we're seeing is that actually our colleague Ricardo Hausmann may get called back to Venezuela to help rebuild that economy if there's a political transition there. And that story is just typical of what we see all over Harvard.
And here we see the faculty procession, some of them. We'll kind of come back to that. Actually, it'd be good to see more of that. The faculty processing through the open ranks of the students, enjoying their accolades. There's Peter Machinist, who is an Egyptologist, for example.
Yep.
And there's an MIT person. I just learned that sort of gray.
That gray and red. That's Dave Mooney. Dave's a professor of bioengineering.
Our
Fawaz is the executive dean of the School of Engineering. David Clark and Eric Mazur. And so we have an enormous range of faculty here. And again, you see all their different robes and their different degrees from all over the world. There's the sheriff of Nottingham. I mean, that's Nottingham. Sheriff of Middlesex County. And he's going to play a ceremonial role to start and end the proceedings.
He totally enjoys this. It really is wonderful.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun.
So the graduate communities are gradually filling their seats. The Kennedy School, the Divinity School, and then here we see the provost.
Alan Garber, the provost of the university, along with
well, there's President Bacow right in front of him.
President Bacow and Bill Lee, who's the head of the corporation.
And there's the president, the sheriff. He's got quite a sheriff's badge on today. And there's some of our Lowellians. This is wonderful. Good to see them.
You know, amidst these crowds, these more than 8,000 students are graduating today. It's an incredible number. But at the same time, each one has a special story. There's so many. You know, I think of the handful of them. Really, you know, I've interacted probably with several hundred of them over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I know a tiny fraction of all the students that are graduating today, and yet each one of them is so special. Each one has this remarkable story. I'm thinking of my friend Dan Lieberman, our colleague in human evolutionary biology. Dan is a professor who has worked on the evolution of humans and, for example, sort of one of the gurus of barefoot running, thinking about how humans ran, a marathoner, and it's his daughter Eleanor Lieberman is graduating
She's
today.
graduating today.
And you know, each one of them has a remarkable story to tell about where they're going and how they're going to change the world. It's really very special and inspiring.
Extraordinary.
I think you can't help but attend today's event and be hopeful for the world.
It really is true. I mean, we in our program at Lowell House list the sort of awards they've attained, and some of them are academic awards to be sure, but many of them are also from public service and from their contributions to the community. Here we see President Bacow making his way through
President Bacow has a special robe. This is not the normal academic robes. He has a special robe that actually echoes the garb of a Quaker minister.
Unitarian, I think it is. It's a Unitarian. Sorry. He had to have his specially made, and he did. It has sort of
so here they are now.
Buttons across the front.
The corporation members are on the stage. The corporation, the women on the corporation, my friend Susan Graham, a computer scientist from Berkeley, and others, they get to wear wonderful hats for commencement.
Yes.
One of the best parts.
And the men on the corporation wear their own wonderful hats, their top hats, which they don't have much occasion to wear. Deans and vice presidents coming now. They try to make the president's procession more or less hierarchical. We do see the university sort of enacting its hierarchies and its itself really in these rites. As it turns out, the faculty and the deans and vice presidents are not all that organized, and they sometimes simply straggle down the aisle as well. But there is really an especially large crowd on the stage to our right now that is gathering in the president's procession.
That's right. So in the honorary degrees, and we just see to the left of that sign, that's Angela Merkel there, with her red hair, short red hair. She is walking in. A little bit of extra security in the yard today because of Chancellor Merkel. They're all coming up on stage now. The various deans of the different schools, you know, it's something that many people don't understand about Harvard, that really the hierarchy, while we today ceremonially recognize the president as the leader of the university, a lot of the decisions about how the university actually works comes from the deans of the schools. And one of the remarkable things is how much turnover there's been in the deans in recent years.
There really has been.
So we have one of the very first things that President Bacow had to do when he came on was to appoint a new dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. Which in many ways may be in some ways the most powerful position in Harvard. And we're going to see her in a minute, Claudine Gay, 1 year now into her deanship. Very exciting time.
And maybe not so new, but the dean of the School of Public Health, Michelle Williams, and a new dean of the Graduate School of Education.
We also have some deans who are leaving. We have John Manning at the law school, is a relatively new dean. He took over from Martha Minow very recently. Frank Doyle from School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. He's relatively new, but now actually because of the turnover, he's becoming one of the veterans.
And then Bruce Donoff, who has been dean at the School of Dental Medicine for years, really, is stepping down after this year.
Yes. And this is also Mohsen Mostafavi's last graduation as dean of this Graduate School of Design. He's going to, his successor's been announced, and she will take over starting in July.
But it is true that this is the day where no one talks about One Harvard. This is the day when you actually can see Harvard University in a visible form, because we have people here from all over the university, from the graduate schools, etc., and from the various houses of Harvard College. So it is an ingathering of Harvard University in an extraordinary way. And beyond the graduates, it includes the people who are in reunion classes. The 50th reunion class, the 25th, the 30th, the 60th, they're all here, and at least the 25th and the 50th have a kind of pride of place in the Tercentenary Theater.
The 50th get to march in with the faculty, and it's a very exciting time. The 50th reunion class, of course, includes former Vice President Al Gore, who gave the Class Day speech yesterday.
Yes, indeed.
Vice President Gore, I've known him for years through my work on climate. Indeed, he's come and taught my class every now and then. And
that's very exciting.
Very commitment to climate change. And he spoke about climate change, but he actually spoke about something much broader yesterday. He really spoke about the need to be really devoted to maintaining our democracy, partly through pursuit of truth.
Yes.
So Veritas is the motto for Harvard, and I think Vice President Gore took that seriously, really took that.
He really did, and I watched it very carefully, and if you didn't happen to hear it yesterday, and it was sort of cold, you could see everyone gathered in their sweaters and shawls, but you can go back and listen to his speech on the Class Day streaming video of Harvard University.
Yes.
And I would suggest that people do that. It was a very, very powerful speech. And of course, because of his devotion to issues of the environment and climate change, and yours also as head of the Harvard University Center for the Environment, this is the kind of much needed encouragement.
We see Angela Merkel there. We also just saw a glimpse of Drew Faust. Drew Faust last year presided over these ceremonies. This year she's getting an honorary degree.
She's getting an honorary degree.
Thank her for all of her service to these universities.
And I think Angela Merkel is talking with her faculty escort, who is Nick Burns.
Nick Burns, former number 2 at the State Department under Hillary Clinton, and a wonderful diplomat, and my colleague at the Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs at the Kennedy School. Nick is a wonderful colleague and really a career diplomat who has just wonderful insight into the nature of the world.
And right in that shot as well is Bob Giuliano, who is long-standing general counsel to the university, and he's going to leave this year and take up the presidency of Gettysburg College.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting. So we see the faculty now coming onto the stage. They will come on and then eventually be sitting just to our right here. It's reserved for the faculty.
The one set of seats that is still quite empty in the Tercentenary Theater is the large block of seats reserved for the undergraduates. And they will come in house by house and fill up those seats.
After the faculty have processed through, that's when they start to file in. And that takes a good long while.
It does.
In that 50th reunion class, there's so many colorful people. My dear friend, Tommy Lee Jones, who was actually Al Gore's roommate.
Oh, really? Yes.
He was in that class. He's not here today, unfortunately. He's filming a movie right now in New Mexico. But he's very devoted to Harvard and comes back regularly. And it's just a wonderful, people think of him as almost a particular type of actor, but he's actually a remarkable scholar. He's incredibly well read, and he's a very thoughtful man. not what people most expect. And you can imagine what it was like when he and Al Gore were 19 or 20 years old.
I know. I'm sure.
Together.
And those rooming groups are here today, graduating as well.
Oh, there's Doug Elmendorf. Doug is the dean. Just walk off of the screen to the right. Doug is our dean of the Kennedy School, the Harvard Kennedy School. Doug has a very interesting background. Doug was the chair of the Congressional Budget Office, a nonpartisan office designed to sort of give facts and figures. Of course, under attack in recent years for creating an assessment of various budgets that various folks, including the current administration, didn't like. And again, it's this question of the importance of truth. Doug's also very thoughtful about inequality in the world. And one of the issues that's being discussed around Harvard and around the U.S. and around the world is how do we manage the growing level of inequality in our lives.
There you see the seats for the recipients of Harvard's bachelor degrees, empty, and they will be filled in by the houses.
And all the way in the back, behind those empty seats, you see the best seats in the house, which are actually the steps of Widener Library.
And hopefully some of those seats they can see us and see what we're seeing as well. Because the crowd here is immense today.
That's right. Some of the parents came here at 6 in the morning to make sure they got
they got good seats. Well, what I always tell them is the good seats are the ones that are near the Jumbotron, those big screens that will enable them to see up close what's happening.
So it's a gray day. It's a little cool.
Yeah, that's good actually.
Cool. My daughter Rose, her birthday is tomorrow, and I always like to have roses blooming in my garden for her birthday because her name is Lila Rose. But I'm not sure that's going to happen because we've had such a cold spring. But the advantage of the cold spring is, look, today, these robes are actually remarkably unpleasant in hot weather.
They are.
So thankfully, it's a little bit cooler today.
One of the questions people often ask is, who's speaking at Harvard Commencement? Well, we know that the great speaker today to be expected is Angela Merkel. But this morning, the only speeches people will hear are the 3 speeches of the student commencement part. And the first will be an oration in Latin by Kabir Gandhi. The second will be an oration in English, an undergraduate oration by Genesis de los Santos. And the third, a graduate English oration by Lucila Tachkarad from Algeria. So those will be the 5-minute speeches this morning. But if you say who's speaking, there have been a host of speakers at the various events. There was the class day speaker here at the Tercentenary Theater yesterday, the undergraduates class day speaker,
Here are the
Al Gore.
By the way, their undergraduates are starting to file in. So the faculty have now arrived, and the faculty are taking their seats, and the undergraduates are filing in.
There's Richard Tarrant, professor of Latin, who used to be the chief sort of coach of the Latin orator.
I see Stuart Sheever there. Stuart is a computer scientist. Jim Waldo, a great computer scientist, and others.
David Lambert there, and right behind Tarrant, who is a professor of philosophy of religion at the Divinity School.
If you see all the way to the left, the orange robes, that belongs to John Shaw. John has been the chair of Earth and Planetary Science for the last, I think, 13 years. Enormous service, and is a wonderful colleague, a structural geologist who's a very wise and gentle leader.
Some of the students have an orange piece of cloth on their mortar boards, which apparently is to signal a commitment to getting Harvard to divest from fossil fuels. Something, frankly, that Al Gore mentioned, not just mentioned, but asserted very, very strongly yesterday in his class day speech.
You know, I'm obviously very close to that issue. And,
yes, of course.
I know a lot about it. I've got to tell you, I think the engagement of the students is so wonderful. It's again, gives us hope that
really
students actually care about the world. I think it's really important. And I think, you know, I personally think that divestment to me is not the issue that for me I'm most passionate about. For me, Harvard is the most incredible institution in the way we educate our students. And I would love to see us devote much greater effort to investing in the knowledge about climate change that we give our students, because they will then go out and change the world. But you know, what's great about Harvard is we have these debates, we have these arguments. And one of the things about a great university is it has to be open to disagreements. When we start saying there's only one answer, that's when the university dies. I think the devotion to that back and forth, that continual argument, and yet with respect and with collegiality, I think that is a very important core part of
very important. When there was a faculty discussion on divestment, Larry Bacow showed up to be part of that discussion. I think an important move.
I think that's
if we also ask about some of the other speakers, I looked at the other Class Day speakers, and at the law school was a woman named Roberta Kaplan, who represented Edith Windsor in that landmark Supreme Court case that ruled the Defense of Marriage Act violated the Constitution, and that really opened the way for same-sex marriage. Edith Windsor was a New York woman who made that case, and this was her lawyer. Then at the medical school, they had Mona Hanna Atisha, who was the pediatrician and educator in Flint, Michigan, who exposed the lead crisis. And again, someone who's been quite an activist in that field. And at the School of Public Health, it was Cecile Richards, who has been working with Planned Parenthood and some of those issues for many, many years. So this is a huge group of people. Actually, Michael Bloomberg spoke at the business school last day. So the range of speakers is enormous.
That's right. And after this event here, the undergraduates will all go back to the houses, and you will preside over giving out individual degrees. So we should prepare our viewers that we're not going to spend the day this morning
absolutely
reading out names of graduates.
See how long that would take.
That would be called up by the president
yeah.
or by the provost, and the president will bestow the degrees on the whole groups of graduates, wide swaths at a time. The one exception is for the undergraduates, the summa cum laude, the highest Latin honors we give to our undergraduates, the students with the most exceptional academic records. They will be asked to come close, so they will be called close to the stage. They won't be singled out individually, but they will get some special recognition.
And some handshake from the president or the provost or Rakesh Khurana, the dean of the college.
We will also see each of the graduate schools has their own flavor. We see, for example, a dental school has a giant toothbrush.
Oh my heavens! And, yes, they do.
Each of the different graduate schools, when their dean stands up there, you will hear a roar of applause from their numbers, and it often doesn't correlate with population. The School of Education is often small, but is quite vocal in their enthusiasm.
Good.
So
the other thing we probably should note is that yesterday at about this time was the ROTC commissioning ceremony here with very formal commissioning of almost 10 undergraduates in the various branches of the service. One, our own student Peter Hartnett was commissioned in the Air Force, and he was presented with a lei by the officer who gave him his first salute. That's part of that ceremony. So he is today, as a newly commissioned lieutenant in the Air Force, is wearing a Hawaiian lei. But that's a very moving ceremony as well.
So again, we see the sheriff, High Sheriff of Middlesex County, along with Angela Merkel and Nick Burns. I think we're all expecting something interesting and powerful this afternoon.
Now, I think we have our first interview here. Welcome, Ira. Oh, you have now. Tell us. You'll have to tell us about that. This is Iravati Guha, Ira, and we want to hear a little about yourself.
So I'm a student at the community school, and I'm doing the Masters in Public Policy, and I'm from India, and I'm graduating.
You're graduating. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And where have you come from?
So I've come from Bangalore in South India, and that's where I'm returning as well. So while I've been at the Kennedy School, I've been working on the topic of menstrual hygiene. So periods are a major source of anxiety for most women in India, and period products that we take for granted here in the US, like tampons and pads, there are hundreds of thousands of people who can't afford them. So I've been working with a designer at the Graduate School of Design to come up with a reusable, low-cost period product.
Yeah.
Called a menstrual cup.
A menstrual cup.
And
that's wonderful. I think that's the first we've heard about menstrual cups here on the stage at graduation, but so important.
Exactly.
And how does it impact the education of girls in India?
So there's, as you can imagine, girls who can't afford tampons and pads miss out on many days of school, women miss out on work, and there are girls who drop out of school altogether because of their periods. So we're hoping that this product is one thing that can really improve the lives of many people, because you just need one. It can be reused. It lasts for 10 years.
Oh my heavens.
And from our pilot testing, women love it. It's extremely comfortable. So the plan...
That's a very exciting thing to do.
It is. And you're going back to participate in this, to head it up. You have a company that you can tell us about?
So I'm starting a company, a social enterprise. It's called Asan. So in Hindi, as you would know, Asan means easy or worry-free.
Easy, Asan.
So the mission is to make sure that periods are a completely worry-free experience for every woman and girl in India.
That is so exciting.
Thank
it really is.
So tell us a little bit about the 2 years you've been at the Kennedy School.
So I'm doing the MPP program. That's the Master in Public Policy. There are about 200 of us from all over the world with very diverse interests. There are people in the government who've come from government, and then there are people like me who are kind of in the middle of social impact in the private sector. And I've always been interested in this topic, and I've got a lot of support from professors at the Kennedy School. So my mentor, Carl Byers, helped me build the financial model for it. And I've also got some funding from the Women in Public Policy program at the Kennedy School who fund projects like this. So that's been really great. And also just the wider Harvard network. I took Professor X's class about India, which was incredible. And I also got to meet a designer at the design school, which is how we started working on this project together.
Like to come and take to learn about India as an Indian from a woman from Montana.
It was so refreshing. Because I guess the students have no kind of preconceived notions or judgments about which camp this professor sits in.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was just mesmerizing listening to Professor
It was
X
fun this year because
it
was a general education course in which we had some Gen Ed students who were freshmen and some who were master's students like yourself, and others who had come from the Indian Administrative Service who wanted to know more about religion in India, and they don't have a chance to study it really.
Yeah.
So this is great.
Yeah, it was a real variety, and it was incredible because, as Professor X says, we had 40-year-olds who had all of this knowledge about India, but at the same time, we were kind of being outsmarted by 18-year-old like freshmen from the college who just have amazing ideas and write incredibly.
Well, one of the most amazing things that you've taught here, I'm a relative newcomer compared to Diana, but I've been teaching here now for 22 years. And one of the most incredible things is that you realize, and it's humbling, students learn more from each other than they do from the faculty. We can guide, but it's the students who really teach each other. Tell us a little bit more about the diversity, because I also teach at the Kennedy School, and I find the student population at the Kennedy School, even at Harvard, which is remarkably diverse, I find the population at the Kennedy School to be
it's so
truly
diverse.
remarkable.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's because it's global and that they come from so many different
And that's what
countries.
brings you
and that's
with this,
why we every school
this
has a
globe,
different little object.
and there you have
we
an
have a
object
globe.
here, and that's a good one.
And but it's also the age range. So the Kennedy School
Yeah.
has a mid-career program. So there are ministers and like MPs from different countries who've
Former
had
military, current
there are people
military.
from the military. It's really fascinating, and also it's just so incredible to be able to cross-register. So I've been able to take classes at the Divinity School, at the Government Department, and so.
And who's here with your family today? Are they here?
My brother is here from India.
Your brother is,
and
yeah.
it's nice for him because he graduated, I think, in 2013 from the college.
Oh,
so
good.
it's
That's
a nice way
wonderful.
for him to come back and
Good.
That's
see
great.
the whole thing.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Really
Thank you so
enjoyed the day.
much.
Wonderful.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank you very
Let's
much.
stay in touch, please.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thanks,
Good luck
Ira.
with your
Thank
Good.
you.
endeavor.
Wonderful.
So there you are. How
So
could you be more
wonderful.
inspiring? Again, amidst every one of those 8,099 graduates today, there are stories like this.
So there we see Rakesh Khurana on the talking to Nitin Noria, both of them business school professors, but Rakesh, the dean of Harvard College.
So I got to say, this may be the commencement I most remember as the one where I learned about menstrual pumps.
It might, yes, I know. I mean, we have known for years that girls' education in India is a real crisis, and it partly is because girls can't go to school during this time, and there's all sorts of prohibitions about this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, yeah.
Connects to issues of environment as well
Sure it
as
does.
population.
Of course.
It's very clear that if you want to control fertility and population, the best investment of all is to educate and empower women.
Well, now speaking of educating and empowering women, hi, tell me how to pronounce your first name.
I'm Zaria.
Zaria.
Yes.
Zaria Small, who's a graduating senior today.
Sorry, congratulations.
Thank
Yes,
you so much.
really wonderful. It's great to have you here. Thank you for coming. We have to tell people how to find us over in this little tree house.
Yeah.
But you didn't have too much trouble, though.
No, I got to an area and I couldn't figure out exactly where it was.
Yeah.
Someone instructed me to go
Good.
behind the stage.
Now tell us, you have set up a special concentration
Yeah.
that I'd never heard of before, but tell us what your special concentration has been.
Yeah, so I created a special concentration called Design Engineering and Social Change, which is kind of a mashup of the engineering department and history of science. To look at the design process of how technology is built, understand the ways in which that process impacts social change, and then try and figure out how do you make intentional changes with this design process.
So
for future
design, engineering, and social change. That's
I'm in the school
Yeah.
of engineering, so
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about how you put this set of courses together. Where did you go to within the engineering school?
Yeah, so I originally started off as an electrical engineer here, so a lot of my technical-based courses pulled from the electrical engineering components. So I take that as my kind of engineering structural courses. I've also taken a couple of design courses here around Harvard and also at MIT, including Innovators Practice and Design Survivor to learn about the design process, CS179. So I took those from the engineering school.
Did you take any of the courses that are part of our new master's degree and master's in design engineering?
I actually have not gotten to take any classes directly at the master's program, but I've worked alongside many of the students there, and they were really actually critical in kind of constructing and guiding the process of where I thought it was going, because they could give a lot of insight into what design I might be interested in, or even larger fields that are correlated to it, so I can get a delve into there.
And what about on the history of science side? Who did you engage with on that?
So Alma Steingart was one of the faculty that was pretty core in that. Anne Harrington is the faculty dean for me, and also my advisor for this concentration, along with Chris Lombardo in the engineering
I'm an
department.
affiliate of Forsheimer House. So
That's good.
Yeah, so she was really critical in that. I took a class with Matt Hirsch, a lot of it giving me theories of how to analyze technology and understand where they came from, who they're impacting, and who they're built for, or maybe not built for. And I think that was really critical in kind of building to where I am
As you
today.
could tell, to construct a special concentration at Harvard requires a kind of ability to put it all together in a real initiative. I can just listen to you talk. I can say, this is fabulous what you've done. And what's next for you then?
In the fall, I'll be working at Twitter as an associate product manager, hopefully working to build products and think critically about the ways Twitter as a platform has such huge influences.
When you work at Twitter, where do you go? You go to Silicon Valley?
Yeah,
or where?
San Francisco.
I hope they pay you enough to live there.
It's an expensive place.
It is an expensive place to live.
You know what? You're going to have a great time.
It is going to be
I
wonderful.
left college and went to graduate school in Berkeley, and the Bay Area is just a wonderful place to be.
It
so
is
you'll have a
really
wonderful
great.
time. Tell us who's here today to celebrate you.
A lot of my family really came out to support me today. I
From
really
where?
appreciate it. Mostly from New York City. That's where most of my family is
Where
located.
in New York City did you grow up?
I grew up in Queens, but I have family in Queens, Harlem, Brooklyn, kind of all over the 5 boroughs.
Oh, wonderful.
But me personally, Queens, South Jamaica, Queens. So my mom and dad are here. I have aunts and uncles and younger cousins
I'm
and
so glad.
grandparents.
Wonderful.
The whole people, like 20 people,
Well,
came out to support.
That is just so wonderful.
Well,
Congratulations.
and congratulations,
Thank you so much.
and to your parents. There must be
Thank you.
And relatives. Some of them will be out there listening.
Yes,
Okay,
hopefully.
Good. Wonderful. Thank you. Congratulations. Have a
Have
wonderful
a great day.
day.
Enjoy the celebration. with
Yes,
the class.
really wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks for
coming to be
joining
with
Thank you
us.
for having me.
Oh, that's great. Ann Harrington, who was one of my colleagues as a faculty dean, because she's at Pforzheimer, but she is the person who said we should interview Zariah Smalls, and I think, well, this is absolutely why. What an impressive young woman.
So here we see again a picture of Drew Faust. You can see she's very tall.
There's Claudine Gay taking a picture, or maybe, I don't think it's a selfie if it's Claudine Gay. There's so many, yeah, right there. There's Rakesh Khurana and Drew Faust in the background. And Luc Menand over on the right-hand side of the stage.
We're seeing is actually Frank Doyle. Frank is our Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. Frank wearing his robes from Caltech.
There are many new things this year as well. The faculty are organized usually by a caller over, standing on a little platform over near Harvard Hall. And this year the caller is Kay Chalamet, who is a professor of music. Now this is a position that has been held by all of the sort of great old men of the university, from Mason Hammond to Harry Lewis and beyond, just some wonderful people that try to organize. Oh, she's great.
She's one of a small number of women in musicology who really transformed that field.
She really has here. I mean, she's in ethnomusicology. Now you begin to see everything filling up here, including faculty members who may be seated with the houses. I should say that our successors as faculty deans, David Leibson in economics and Nina Zipser, who is a associate dean for human affairs in University Hall, both of them have been, well, what they call our interns this year, and they are both here with the house to get a sense of commencement from the standpoint of Lowell House today, and that's exciting.
You can see some of the honorary degree recipients as well. Just behind them, that was Janet Brown from History of Science and Michelle Williams. They're back out talking to some of them, getting ready for the ceremony.
We're not supposed to tell you who they are now, but you probably, those of you who have a copy of the newspaper can tell.
There's a few more undergraduates filing in, so we're going to be here for another few minutes before the actual ceremony begins.
This is what is called an academic festival, and it really is. I mean, it's a rite of transition, it's a rite of passage, an initiatory rite in a sense, but it is a festival also, and you feel this, the festival of the ingathering of the clan of the reunion classes, and the festival of the various schools and everything that they do, the picnics and spreads, as they call it, all over the university.
As much as we are celebrating the past and that we are celebrating all the hard work,
We sure are.
over the last 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 or 7 years
Yes.
for PhDs.
Yeah.
All of that work, I still think of this as a forward-looking event.
It is.
I think about it this as a celebration of the future, of how all of these students are going to go out and in their various ways change the world, whether it's through menstrual pumps or through working for Twitter or through whatever these students will do, they will shape the world around them.
And it is an ingathering of students from all over the U.S. and from all over the world who are as diverse as the world. I mean, I listened to part of the baccalaureate Tuesday, when President Bacow addressed the senior class. And the readings at baccalaureate began with a reading from the Quran by Anwar Omish, who was one of the residents of PBHA and who has probably won as many distinguished awards as any undergraduate. She has read from the Quran in Arabic and someone else in English. And then there were readings in Sanskrit from the Bhagavad Gita and in Greek and in Avestan and the range of languages that are brought forth by our students and from the religious and cultural traditions that they represent. That is a representation of this graduating class, and
now, of course,
extraordinary.
It's been a controversial issue this year. There's been a lawsuit against Harvard for the admissions process, particularly focused on discrimination against Asian Americans, saying that they should have higher numbers of representation here. Fundamental debate. Again, I think the nature of the debate is happening all around the U.S.
It is.
But I think it's important that debate happens at Harvard.
Absolutely.
And I think the opening up of the admissions process and understanding how decisions get made is fundamental to the integrity of our mission in some ways. I think the judge hasn't yet issued a ruling on that. I think that will come probably in the next several months. But I hope that will only be the continuation of our debate. This isn't going to resolve this discussion. This is a long tradition. Various groups were excluded from this community over the rich, nearly 400 years of Harvard's history. And I think this discussion will continue into the future.
I'm sure it will. I taught a freshman seminar in the fall on Asian America that had about 12 or 15 students who were literally from all parts of Asian America. Only one from Asia itself right now, a student from Singapore. But they were Korean Americans, Indian Americans, Chinese Americans, all of them intensely interested in this issue. And we kind of followed along the court case as we also followed along the very rich and important history of Asians in the United States.
And I think it gets it really, again, connected to the core issue of inequality.
It does.
The question of opportunity. And how does this institution, in some ways, it's in some ways a beacon for opportunity. It's also, though, in some ways, been a place of incredible privilege and supporting existing privilege. And that tension is coming to a fore, and I think that's an interesting time to be part of this community.
It really is. I mean, when Dorothy and I began at Lowell House 20 years ago, that diversity was beginning to be very much present there. People from all over the United States, from the new immigration, post-65 immigration, the sons and daughters who had grown up in the United States but whose parents had come from China or Korea or Vietnam or India or Pakistan. And it is a very different demography than we would have seen 50 years ago. Absolutely. It's so rich, so wonderful.
Physical sciences in the Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences,
sure, yeah.
and in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, I'll tell you that the diversity we've seen at the undergraduate level, and in some ways for well understood reasons, that diversity has percolated into the Harvard Law School or the Harvard Business School very early. Those are avenues for wealth, for achievement. But in the physical sciences, we are still just dealing with gender equality.
Yes.
We've barely scratched the surface of racial diversity in our communities. So we still remain, relatively non-diverse compared to other communities, and that's something that's going to happen in the next.
They're beginning. We will hear.
Here we are. We're about to start the ceremony. The undergraduates have all come in now, and so any minute now. We will see the Sheriff of Nottingham approach the stage.
No, it's Middlesex.
So. Sheriff of Middlesex. I keep saying Sheriff of Nottingham. I think we're in England with Robin Hood.
On the right, you see the PhDs, who among the graduates will, graduating professional and graduate schools will receive their diplomas first.
The problem is, here are the bells to start the ceremony.
Mr. Sheriff, pray give us order.
As the High Sheriff of Middlesex County, I declare that the meeting will be in order.
Please rise for the national anthem and remain standing for the chaplain of the day, who will open the exercises with prayer.
Lord, help us listen. In a world where there is not enough listening, help us do a better job of listening to one another. In the presence of those who love us, our parents and teachers, our family and friends, help us hear their wisdom. May our listening help us grow. In the presence of those whom we do not understand, we just see the world very differently. Help us hear their thinking with an open mind. May our listening help us learn something we did not know. In the presence of those who do not get us, they don't understand us. Help us hear not only their questions, but also the anxiety behind their questions. May our listening enable us to see people we hadn't seen before. In the presence of the difference and the diversity that are the hallmark of this beloved university and our beloved land, may our listening enable us to hear the prose and the poetry of a very different person's very different story. And may our listening enable us to build beautiful things together. In the presence of the multitudes that we contain within ourselves, our nobler angels and our raging demons, help us hear the inner clamor within our own souls with gentleness and without judgment. May our listening enable our better selves to emerge. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O community of Harvard. God is found in Harvard Yard. God is found in the world beyond Harvard Yard, when with humility and curiosity we can listen to one another. Let us all say, Amen.
Latin salutatori, Bibliotheca et Hortus, candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Kabir Kyle Gandhi.
Praeses Bacchau, decani illustres, doctissimique professores, familiares, amici, benefactores, ter honorati hospites, vos denique, carissimi condiscipuli, salve te omnes! Magnus mihi honor est, his in rostris teatri tercentesimi, hoc munere mirabili perfungi, et iam si in lingua quam per paucissimi intellegunt. Hodie, non solum incipimus officium nostrum aliorum ad beneficium vivendi, sed etiam finimus, si fas dicere est nostram experientiam transformativam per universitatem Harvardianam. Cicero alter verba solertissima ex solerti ore tonans, sine dubio haud sum. Cum tamen legebam operae lius in bibliotheca prae clarissimae amplissimaeque domus Dunsteriensis. Quaedam sententia concina in epistula ad Varonem amicum oculis meis incucurret, in qua aliquid fortasse veritatis inveniamus. Si hortum in bibliotheca habes, deerit nihil. Convocatis ergo diversis cohortibus ad contionem in horto optimo ante bibliothecam optimam apud Harvardienses positam, haec verba fecundissima consideremus. Nos Harvardiani certe intelegimus quomodo quotanis horti ira frigoris Cantabrigiensis iactentur. Bibliothecae autem et numerum officinae alchimicae constantes stant. Primo, eas in arces mutavimus, in quibus noctu solitudine lucubravimus, et multum taurum rubrum bebebamus. Mox, capita de laboribus sustulimus, ut sapientiam admiraremur, et amicorum praestantium, et optimorum auctorum. Cor est artium liberalium bibliotheca, in qua sive historicus vel physicus, sive poeta vel mathematicus, scientia omnium rerum humanarum ac naturalium augeator. Nos Harvardiani, quoque novum Smith forum in aliam bibliothecam transfiguravimus, requiescas in pace aeterna. O templum Coffeae et crustulorum bone panis. Tandem aliquando hiems veri cesit. Horti rursus usui nostro liberabantur. Statim de latis questionibus ad canvas in tempore ipso horresco referens. Domus excurrimus ad hortos occupandos et plateam Harvardianam fruendam. Ecce, hac ex parte ali spiceam spheram ludunt, alia ex parte ali sub frondosus quercorum ramis cubant. Laboribus intermissis, fabulas relatum, musicam auditum, et quietem in gramine acceptum ad hortos imus. Inter diu susuri discipulorum risusque Harvardianorum mirabile auditu hortos nostrae universitatis complent. Itaque. Hortos bibliothecasque multiplices universitatis Harvardianae per scrutatus sic enim arbitror. Si hortum in bibliotheca habes, deerit aliquid. Bibliothecae complendae sunt animis veritatis cognoscendae semper cupidis. Horti complendi sunt, et gaudio, et risu, et amicitia. Universitas Harvardiana nobis hortus atque bibliotheca his annis fuit. noster locus amoenus, ubi praeterita explicare, praesentia discere, futura excogitare potuimus. Cum primum aggressi erimus ex hoc horto delectabili, memorias non solum de flores librorum, sed etiam, quoras maioris momenti, de moribus ac ingeniis humanis conservemus. His ergo omnibus observatis, haec notissima verba profero, cocelerius ad laureas admitamur, cara cohors annibis millesimi, unde vicesimi, avatque vale.
Senior English Address, just off the orange line. Candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Genesis Noelia de los Santos Fragoso.
If you take the red line to Park Street, switch on to the orange line towards Forest Hills, past the hustling vendors and the smells of fresh roasted peanuts toasting, and get off at the very last stop, you'll end up there. No, not Harvard's Arnold Arboretum, but instead, the South Street housing development. Like Harvard, it is a place filled with dreamers, future change makers, and aspiring artists. The only difference, opportunity. At the college, Weld Hall, Elliott House, they aren't too different from the apartment buildings I grew up in. Paint peels off of the walls, pet cockroaches occasionally appear in the showers. But more importantly, loving community members envelop you with their kindness. Those brick buildings, though they're rigid and cold on the outside, are home to a roaring hearth. The people, like my former neighbor, vecina, Ana, whose smile reveals a glimpse of the metal cap on her tooth, are family, the first responders when you are in need. On August 3rd, 2006, I was 8 years old when my mother received a call that would change everything. My father had suffered a car accident in the Dominican Republic while on his way to visit my grandmother. It was out back by the green dumpsters that my mommy relinquished every sense of being, falling onto the cold concrete in disbelief. An immigrant and alone with no immediate family here, my mother depended on the South Street housing development. For an entire year, During the many months of my father's multiple coma and surgeries, this community fed us, clothed us, and watched us. It was on the playgrounds of that concrete jungle that I learned what a home looked like. Every vecina in our building at 4 Metcalf Court lit a candle for my family. It was the flicker of those red candles that brought my family and me all of the way here to Harvard Yard. I remember sitting in Weld on move-in day, looking up at my father. That day was the first time in 30 years of living in the United States, of living in Boston, that he had ever stepped foot in Harvard Yard. As I sat there, I recalled the day that I, a 12-year-old girl, was moving out of her home at Metcalf Court. When we left those project buildings behind, my parents did not look back. But today I do. In that moment, sitting on the stairs in Weld, I remembered how I would sit and wait for my school bus as a child in the stairwells of my apartment building. I thought to myself and realized just how far I had traveled. Though fairly close, Cambridge. Let me be more specific. Harvard still feels worlds apart from the courtyards at South Street that gave me my first scars when I fell off of Yamile's magenta Barbie stickered bike. These brick buildings, though their facades may be similar, still swell with the privilege that lies behind their walls. The privilege of opportunity. Here at Harvard, I have found women similar to Anna, a lot younger, but also willing to stay up with me as I filled Elliot's D entryway with shrill cries when my mother was diagnosed with cancer. If the walls in Elliott House, if the walls at 4 Metcalf Court could speak, they would have enough stories to fill several novels, testifying to the pain and trauma, but more importantly, the love and support that I have received from my various homes. Harvard is a home, and we all have complicated relationships with home. But it is a place that has touched us all. And as we leave this home that we have created here as a community, I urge us to think about the opportunities that we have been given. Let us think about the privileges granted to us as we go through the world carrying a Harvard diploma. Let us reflect, but more importantly, be conscious of the weight that our education holds, conscious of all those who simply do not have the opportunity. It could rightfully have been someone else in our place, but it was us. Now, What will we do with what we have gained here? I hope that as we answer this for ourselves, we lead not with our privilege, but instead work with a desire to create opportunities for others.
Honor of giving an address.
But that was really
and it was extraordinarily.
She's getting a standing ovation from the entire theater of graduates. Really extraordinarily personal testament.
Yes.
Graduate English address. The least you can do. Candidate for the degree of Master of Public Administration, Lucila Hanan Tak Gerard.
As Harvard graduates, you will be asked to go into the world and do the most you can do. I am here to ask you to do the least. I grew up in a small village in Algeria. Every Friday, my sister and I had our weekly shower at the public bath. We didn't have running water at home. On winter nights, we cuddled against the cold because our heat was cut off. And on some days, we hid our hunger in order not to worry our parents. When I was 7 years old, my country plunged into a bloody civil war. Every night, I prayed to God that tomorrow there would not be an empty seat at our dinner table. On one hot summer day in 1994, my life was changed forever by a man whom I never met, do not know, and can never thank. My mother was at the local market when she noticed a chaotic gathering. Wading into the crowd, she learned that the French government was allowing some Algerians to find refuge from war. All you had to do was write your name on a list. My mother desperately wanted to sign that list. That list might promise her daughters a better future. But there was one problem. My mother was illiterate. She did not know how to write her name, Fadila Tagjarat. Dejected, she walked away. A man noticed her and ran after her. He got my mother's name and wrote it down on the list. A few months later, my family was fortunate to immigrate to France. was sad to leave my beloved homeland, caring neighbors, childhood friends, and extended family. But I knew that bright opportunities awaited me. Had I stayed in my village, assuming I was spared from bullets or bombs, my life would have been very different. I would not have become the first woman in my family to graduate from college, to work and live abroad. I would not have had the chance to call Harvard my home this past year. As we are graduating today, I still find myself asking, why did this wonderful man run after my mother? A simple gesture of writing a stranger's name on a page offered an entire family hope for a better life. He will probably never know the difference he made. But from the small seeds of his goodness have grown fruits of prosperity for my family, myself, and everyone whom we touch. I now have the ability to shape my world. But this ability was sparked by one little encounter which lit up the course of my life. So that is the real power. The power of little things. The least you can do can bring true change. Perhaps you have been blessed in your lives with small gifts that made big changes. Maybe it was a teacher who instilled in you her love of a certain subject, or a kind stranger who helped you with directions when you were lost. At Harvard, I see it every day in the smiles of the cafeteria staff who keep me so well caffeinated, and in ad hoc babysitting circles. Small things. Such small things. But from these small things grow inspired people, lasting friendships, and stronger communities. When one person thanks another, the second person often replies, "Oh, it's the least I can do." Because often, the least you can do can be more than enough. You don't need to move mountains. Maybe it's a matter of translating documents for a family at the immigration office, or offering a car ride to a pregnant lady. You never know how these small gestures can affect people's lives. But I can tell you, they do. Fellow graduates, of course, do the most you can do. Your education and legacy demand it. But also, do the least you can do. Because the least you can do might turn out to be the most significant. To that gentleman in Algeria, I now say, shukran, wallahi afik. Thank you, and God bless you. And to each of you today, I ask of you, what is the least you can do now to make the world around you a little better?
Remarkably powerful testimony.
You said at the beginning, each of these students has a story to tell, a backstory, and yes, they have. These two English addresses, extraordinary.
I am absolutely blown away by the experience. You think about all of the hopes and dreams of all of the parents, but to come from such an extraordinary beginning and end up here. What a wonderful achievement. All because of one man putting a name on a piece of paper.
A new composition. The words "I Will Wade Out" by E.E. Cummings, graduate of 1915.
These addresses by selected candidates for ordinary degrees being ended, the deans of the several departments will now present to the President and Fellows and to the Board of Overseers, in the favoring presence of the friends here assembled, the candidates on whom the various academic distinctions are, with due ceremony, to be conferred. The Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences.
Mr. President and Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President and members of the Board of Overseers. In the name of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences and by its authority, I have the honor to report on 4 groups of candidates who will be presented to you today. First, the Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences will present candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy and then the degree of Master of Arts. Next, the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences will present candidates for the degrees of Master of Science and of Engineering. Third, the Dean of Continuing Education and University Extension will present candidates for the degrees of Associate in Arts, Bachelor of Liberal Arts, and Master of Liberal Arts in Extension Studies. Finally, near the close of these exercises, the seniors in Harvard College who are candidates for the first degree in arts or in science will stand proudly before you. The candidates in each of these groups have, by a vote of the faculty, fulfilled the requirements for the degrees for which they are severally recommended. I salute all of these individuals, trusting that they will forever wisely enjoy the freedoms that their education has given to them, while bearing the responsibilities that their learning demands of them. Each of these groups will now be introduced to you by the deans responsible for the programs in which they are enrolled.
Candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy will rise. The Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, I have the honor to present to you these scholars, all of whom have devoted themselves to the rigorous pursuit of advanced study, have attained high distinction, and have made original contributions to knowledge in their several fields of scholarship.
By virtue of authority delegated to me and recognizing your high academic achievements, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, welcome you to the ancient and universal company of scholars, and entrust to you the free inquiry of future generations. Congratulations.
Candidates from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences for the degree of Master of Arts will rise. The Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, I have the honor to present to you these candidates, all of whom have completed a commendable step of advanced study in their respective disciplines.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Master of Arts and certified that you have surmounted with distinction the first stage of graduate study. Congratulations.
Candidates from the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences for the degrees of Master of Science and Master of Engineering will rise. The Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, please rise.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, it is my honor to present these degree candidates who have completed the first step in their advanced training in engineering and applied sciences. They stand ready to address societal challenges through foundational science with translational impact.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Master of Science or Master of Engineering, and certify that you have surmounted with distinction the first stage of graduate study. Congratulations.
Candidates for the degrees of Associate in Arts, Bachelor of Liberal Arts, and Master of Liberal Arts in Extension Studies will rise. The Dean of Continuing Education and University Extension.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of Continuing Education and University Extension, I have the honor to present to you these global lifelong learners who, through their ability, curiosity, and drive, are candidates for the degrees of Associates in Arts, Bachelor of Liberal Arts, and Masters of Liberal Arts in Extension Studies. And if you'll excuse me going off script, I'd like to say I'm very proud of our 40 active duty military and 87 veterans included in this class.
And so are we. By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Associate in Arts, Bachelor of Liberal Arts, or Master of Liberal Arts in Extension Studies, and admit you to the Fellowship of Educated Individuals. Congratulations.
Graduates. Largest group in Extension Studies.
Devout attention.
Dean of the Faculty of Medicine.
Mr. President, fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, members of the Board of Overseers. In the name of the Faculty of Medicine and by its authority, it's my honor to report today that two groups of candidates in the fields of medicine and dental medicine have fulfilled the requirements of the faculty for the degrees for which they are recommended. They will be introduced to you by the deans responsible for the programs in which they are enrolled. I wish to give special thanks to Dr. Bruce Donhoff, who will be stepping down later this year after 28 years of distinguished leadership of the Harvard School of Dental Medicine.
Candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Dental Medicine, Doctor of Medical Sciences, and Master of Medical Sciences will rise. With appreciation for his devoted service, the Dean of the School of Dental Medicine.
Mr. President, fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of the School of Dental Medicine, I have the pleasure of introducing these candidates, each of whom has devoted 4 years to the study of dental medicine, or at least 3 years to postdoctoral studies aimed at improving health and the quality of life.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Dental Medicine, Doctor of Medical Sciences, or Master of Medical Sciences, and declare that you are qualified for practice and research in a demanding branch of medicine. Congratulations.
Candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Medicine and Master of Medical Science will rise. The Dean for Medical Education.
Mr. President, fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean for Medical Education, I have the honor to present to you these degree candidates who have dedicated themselves to the relief of human suffering and prepared themselves well for a life of learning and service in medicine.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Medicine or Master of Medical Science and declare that as physicians, you are ready to engage in an honorable and merciful calling. Congratulations.
The Dean of the Faculty of Divinity.
Mr. President, fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of the Faculty of Divinity, I have the honor to present to you these degree candidates, each of whom has devoted 2, 3, or more years to religious and theological studies in preparation for careers as leaders in scholarship and vocations of service.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Master of Theological Studies, Master of Divinity, Master of Theology, or Doctor of Theology, and declare that you are well prepared to foster the health and vitality of communities of faith, to further scholarship in religious studies, and to help in shaping the shared values of the broader society. Congratulations.
Dean David Hempton, you might have noticed, is from Belfast, Northern Ireland, and his particular interest in peace studies.
Candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Law, Master of Laws, and Doctor of Juridical Science will rise.
835 or so.
The Dean of the Faculty of Law.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers, as Dean of the Faculty of Law, it is my honor to present to you these students, each of whom has completed a degree in legal studies toward the end of advancing justice and promoting the rule of law.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Law, Master of Laws, or Doctor of Juridical Science, and declare that you are ready to aid in shaping an application of those wise restraints that make us free. Congratulations.
Are they waving gavels? I think so.
Candidates for the degrees of Master in Business Administration and Doctor of Business Administration will please rise again.
They're very near us here in our booth.
Harvard Business School has a lot of spirit and a lot of vocal participants.
And most of them are there for only 2 years, and then they go out and make a big salary. I think of them in relation to the PhDs who are here for 6 years.
The Dean of the Faculty of Business Administration.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of the Faculty of the Harvard Business School, it is my great privilege to present to you these degree candidates who have mastered the study of business administration and prepared themselves to become leaders who will make a difference in the world.
He also has
By
a daughter
virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Master in Business Administration or Doctor of Business Administration, and testify that you are ready to lead people and organizations and enterprises that will serve society. Congratulations.
Mr. President, with your leave, I would also like to give a shout out to my daughter, Ambika Noria, a proud member of the Harvard class of 2019.
He's mentioning his own daughter who is graduating today as well.
Candidates for the several degrees in architecture, landscape architecture, urban planning, and design will rise. With gratitude for his dedicated service, which will conclude in June, the Dean of the Faculty of Design.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers, As the Dean of the Faculty of Design, I have the honor to present to you these students, each of whom has qualified for a master's degree in architecture, landscape architecture, urban design, urban planning, or design studies, or a master's degree in design engineering, conferred in collaboration with the School of Engineering or with the degree of Doctor of Design.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree for which you have qualified and declare your competence to lead in shaping the spaces in which we live. Congratulations.
In shaping the spaces in which we live. School of Design.
Candidates for the several degrees in public health will rise. The Dean of the Faculty of Public Health.
Mr. President, Madam President, Fellows of Harvard College, and members of the Board of Overseers, as Dean of the Harvard School of Public Health, I have the distinct pleasure to present to you these students, each of whom have qualified for a master's degree or a doctor's degree to provide leadership, advance knowledge, and improve public's health.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degrees in public health for which your studies have qualified you, and declare that you are well prepared to generate and utilize knowledge to improve health throughout the world. Congratulations.
Of these 600 students here, one of them, Sriram, was also in my class and is in the Indian Administrative Service in the state of Kerala in South India.
Candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Education. Doctor of Education Leadership, and Master of Education will rise.
I think they're waving children's books, or in any case books, and a Dean of the School of Education, Bridget Terry Long, is also relatively new in the School of Education.
The Dean of the Faculty of Education.
The students engage in the Boston community. They go out into the schools and work with the students.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, members of the Board of Overseers. As the proud Dean of the Faculty of Education, I have the honor to present these degree candidates who will change the world through education.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the master's or doctor's degree in education and declare that you are well prepared to guide and serve the learning needs of contemporary society. Congratulations.
So interesting, there is an interview in the Gazette with 3 of the African-American deans of the professional schools that include Claudine Gay, Bridget Long, Terry
Candidates for the degrees of
Williams.
Master in Public Administration, Master in Public Administration in International Development, and Master in Public Policy.
600 of them, some of them mid-career students who have come from wherever they're serving in the world for education for a year, sometimes
The
more.
Dean of the Faculty of Government.
Doug Elmendorf, the Dean of the Kennedy School.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of the Faculty of Government, I have the honor to present to you these degree candidates, each of whom has qualified to provide leadership in public service.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the degree for which your studies have qualified you, and testify that you are well prepared to serve as public leaders and improve public policy and administration throughout the world. Congratulations.
Larry Bacow himself is a graduate of the Harvard Kennedy School.
Is he? Yeah.
And he's a member of he's one of our faculty at the Harvard Kennedy School. I have what they call a Schedule C or adjunct appointment there. And Larry Bacow officially is a member of the Harvard Kennedy School faculty.
And you're for science and the environment there, or what? What's
technology,
the energy
policy.
Belfer Center?
That's right.
Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts or of Science will rise. Their chosen representatives, together with candidates for those degrees summa cum laude, will draw near. The Dean of Harvard College.
Mr. President, Fellows of Harvard College, Madam President, and members of the Board of Overseers. As Dean of Harvard College, I have the honor to present to you these students, each of whom has fulfilled the faculty's requirements for the first degree in arts or in science. Each candidate stands ready to advance knowledge, to promote understanding, and to serve society.
By virtue of authority delegated to me, I confer on you the first degree in arts and sciences and admit you to the fellowship of educated individuals. Congratulations.
Personally, come and greet these summa cum laude graduates. You'll see it's a nice tradition.
It is. And the summas didn't really know for sure they were summas until after the faculty meeting the other day. And then there are the ones who are class officers and who are among the leaders of their class by virtue of being elected as marshals. So these are the ones with the red piping.
They're all coming up to greet Uncle as well. They all want to shake her hand. And now, as they take their seats again, we will see the honorary degree recipients. Chanting going on.
Yeah, divest you can hear, but whether it's divest and reinvest. And some of this is for divestiture
By
from the
virtue
prison
of
industry,
authority delegated
as
to
well
me
as fossil
by the
fuels.
two governing boards, I now confer the following honorary degrees. The provost will introduce the candidates.
When some children can't fall asleep, they count sheep. Not our first honored guest. As a child, she would lie in bed and mentally calculate the powers of 2. Or she would wonder why, when you add up the digits in any number divisible by 9, you get another number divisible by 9. Growing up, she also loved weaving and pottery and sewing. She found joy in making things. So it's no surprise that her extraordinary career has combined deep thinking about abstract mathematical concepts with a fascination for making things work. A native of Belgium, she was a star student in physics. She taught in Brussels and then crossed the Atlantic to work at Bell Labs. She went on to become an eminent professor of mathematics at Princeton and now at Duke. She is best known for her pioneering work on wavelets, mathematical functions that play a crucial role in signal processing and pattern recognition. While the math is esoteric, the applications are many. What's the best way to compress and transmit digital images? How can the FBI efficiently store hundreds of millions of fingerprints? How can art historians distinguish a forgery from the real thing? How can geologists analyze earthquake data to reveal what lies beneath the Earth's surface? These are just a few of the far-ranging applications of her work. Past president of the International Mathematical Union, honored with many of her field's major awards, she is an adventurous interdisciplinarian, intrigued by the many ways that mathematics can spur practical insights that change the world. We honor Professor and Baroness Ingrid Dobschi.
Following in Fourier's footsteps, a brilliant mathematician enthralled by how things work, her wizardry with wavelets showed that manifold utility is the first derivative of theoretical ingenuity. Ingrid Dobschi, Doctor of Science.
Inequality of income and wealth poses one of our society's foremost challenges. And perhaps no economist has done more to shed new light on that challenge than our next guest. Born in Spain, he moved from France to the United States to earn his doctorate in economics at a modest technical institute 2 miles east of Harvard Square. PhD in hand, he traveled 2 stops up the Red Line to join the Harvard faculty. And in 2002, he was lured to Berkeley, where, when he's not indulging in his passion for surfing, he serves as the Chancellor's Professor of Tax Policy and Public Finance and Director of the Center for Equitable Growth. As one observer has put it, nobody has done more to describe the broad changes in income distribution in the United States that have taken place during the last 90 years. He also serves as co-director of the World Inequality Database, a wellspring of historic data on income and wealth distribution around the globe. His powerful work has addressed not only the rise of inequality, but also how to optimize the design of tax systems, how to encourage retirement savings, and how people behave in response to changes in policy. Both an imaginative theorist and a rigorous empiricist, whose work sparks domestic and international policy debates, he has been recognized with both the MacArthur Fellowship and the American Economic Association's prestigious John Bates Clark Medal. We honor Emmanuel Saez.
Professor at Berkeley and at Harvard early in his career, they say.
An economist extraordinaire who studies both theoretical and empirical, elucidate telling trends, and animate crucial debate. As a scholar of inequality, he has few equals. Emmanuel Saez, Doctor of Laws.
The Center for Equitable Growth at Berkeley, a very important aspect of today's world.
On a day we welcome a preeminent figure in modern Europe, We also honor a preeminent historian of medieval Europe. One of the foremost experts on the High Middle Ages, he has written authoritatively about the French feudal monarchy, about relations between church and state, about serfdom and the path to freedom, about the Crusades, about the plights of the Jews and Muslims, about the role of women in the medieval economy, and perhaps most notably about the causes and consequences of the Great Famine of 1315 to 1322, one of the worst catastrophes ever to befall Northern Europe. He has done so with striking erudition, with deep immersion in diverse sources, and in prose both elegant and engaging. Beyond his core scholarship, he has written volumes about the Middle Ages for students of all ages, and has contributed many entries for reference works about this often misunderstood era in Western history. Himself a veritable encyclopedia of medieval Europe, he has accomplished all this despite having toiled for nearly half a century at an obscure institution of learning in central New Jersey. Possibly best known as the setting for several scenes in the movie Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. We are pleased to welcome the past director of the Davis Center for Historical Studies, the past president of the Medieval Academy of America, and the Dayton Stockton Professor of History at Princeton University, William Chester Jordan.
He's escorted by Daniel Allen right behind him, professor here at Harvard.
She came from the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton.
She did.
So they were colleagues there.
Esteemed William of Orange and Black, a magisterial figure in medieval history, surveying the ravages of the Great Famine, he has laid out a bountiful feast of erudition. William Chester Jordan, Doctor of Laws.
Our next guest is one of the world's most innovative anthropologists. Born in North Wales, she grew up in southeast England and enjoyed digging in the local Roman ruins as a child. She did her undergraduate and graduate studies in anthropology at the University of Cambridge. Early in her career, she set off to do field work in the Melanesian islands of Papua New Guinea, north of Australia. She immersed herself in learning to see how people live their lives. Her work led to her path-breaking book, The Gender of the Gift, in which she illuminated another culture's strikingly different views of fundamental concepts such as individual and society, male and female, agency and cause. Beyond her seminal work on Melanesia over the decades, she has contributed insights on an array of subjects, such as kinship in 20th century England, modern reproductive technologies, intellectual property, and the nature of interdisciplinarity. Her approach subverts the conventions of Euro-American anthropological thought, reorienting our angle of vision and challenging us to see different cultures in context from the perspectives of those who live within them. Honorary Life President of the Association of Social Anthropologists in the UK, and the former William Wise Professor and Mistress of Girton College at the University of Cambridge. She was named a Dame Commander of the British Empire in 2001. we honor Marilyn Strathern.
Intrigued by seeing how people live, inventive in subverting conceptual norms, an empathic ethnographer who crafts new lenses on the varieties and complexities of human experience. Anne Marilyn Strathern, Doctor of Laws.
I made a point of trying to meet her yesterday. She has been the mistress, as they call it, of Girton College at Cambridge and had that kind of faculty leadership there as well.
Our next guest is a historian, author, educator, curator, and museum leader. His distinguished career bespeaks a vital mission to broaden and deepen the understanding of the African American experience as a central and integral part of the American experience. He is the greatly admired founding director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. Which opened on the National Mall to extraordinary acclaim in 2016. And only this week, just 2 days ago, he was named to become the 14th Secretary of the Smithsonian Institution. One of the paramount institutions of leadership in cultural institutions worldwide. We warmly congratulate him on his new appointment. To complete his introduction, with the anthem adopted 100 years ago as the official song of the NAACP, we welcome to the stage Devon Tynes, Harvard College class of 2009.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicings rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the day when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from a gloomy past, till now we stand at last where the bright gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our wearies, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
Absolutely incredible performance from Devon Hines.
What is usually called the Black National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing.
He was here in Cambridge for the performance of The Black Clown at the American Repertory Theater.
Thank you, sir.
A
Thank you,
beautiful
sir.
ensemble piece based on Langston Hughes' poem. And he was the lead in that, an extraordinary, gifted opera singer. Harvard class of 2009.
This was not in the program, at least not the one that we have, and a wonderful addition here as they're about to honor Lonnie Bunch.
We welcome and honor Lonnie Bunch.
Eminent expositor of the African American experience, fervent in efforts to lift every voice, he attests that for us to look honestly forward, we must face the stony road of the past. Lonnie G. Bunch III, Doctor of Laws.
In the field of Chinese art history, it's been said of our next guest, there is no one to compare for his originality, depth of knowledge, and breadth of interests. He studied at Beijing's Central Academy of Fine Arts in what was then the only art history department in China. Amid the Cultural Revolution, he worked within the confines of Beijing's Forbidden City in the Palace Museum, studying painting, calligraphy, and carvings from eras long past. You close the gate, he has said, and you don't know which century you're in. He came to the US 4 decades ago, pursued his PhD here at Harvard, joined the faculty, and embarked on a career that has transfigured scholarship on Chinese art. 25 years ago, he moved to the University of Chicago, where he has served as distinguished professor, founding director of the Center for the Art of East Asia, and consulting curator of the Smart Museum of Art. His vast scholarship reaches across 3 millennia of Chinese history. He is not only a preeminent scholar of traditional Chinese art forms, but also a leading exponent of contemporary Chinese art and a path-breaking curator as well. He has shed light not only on individual works and artists, but on larger themes that transcend eras and art forms. And he has incisively explored the interplay of art, ideology, and social change, with attention to everything from ancient Buddhist caves to Tiananmen Square. Of his many honors, he is proudest of those he has won for his teaching. We warmly welcome Wu Hung.
From the caves of Buddhas to the contemporary art scene, from the painted screen to the public square, he expertly illumines the vast sweep of Chinese art and enlarges our vision of visual culture. Wu Hung, Doctor of Arts.
You might not guess it, but our next guest is especially fond of elephants. Each year, winners of the National Magazine Award are presented with copper statuettes in the image of that majestic mammal. And over the past 21 years, during his remarkable run as the editor of The New Yorker, nearly 50 such elephants have sauntered the way of his publication, one of the nation's premier magazines. A native of New Jersey, he studied Dante and Walt Whitman at a small college close to home, whose cinematic fame I have already noted. He then spent a decade as an enterprising young reporter for the Washington Post, the last 4 years as Moscow correspondent. That experience led to his book, Lenin's Tomb, about the waning days of the Soviet Empire, which earned him a Pulitzer Prize. He joined The New Yorker as a staff writer in 1992 and has since produced scores of feature pieces. He has a flair for vivid profiles whose subjects have included numerous figures honored here on this stage: Alexander Solzhenitsyn and Al Gore, Václav Havel and Elaine Pagels, Philip Roth and Aretha Franklin, to name a few. He has also written acclaimed biographies of Muhammad Ali and Barack Obama. And since 1998, through tumultuous times in journalism, he has deftly led The New Yorker, setting the tone and shaping the content of a magazine known for its in-depth reporting, its commentary, and its fiction, poetry, and humor. When he was named editor, a colleague said, "It seldom happens that the absolute best person on the face of the earth for a given position gets that position." But, as the last 21 years have proved, sometimes that is precisely what happens. We honor David Remnick.
We see him online almost once a week, I would say. Soon, often anyway.
Prolific in profiling politicians and pugilists. Adroit in eliciting his writer's best. Intent and indefatigable in pursuit of truth. A journalist and editor whose work contains multitudes. David J. Remnick, Doctor of Laws.
We next honor someone who is no stranger to this platform. From 2001 to 2007, she sat stage left as the founding dean of our Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study. And for our past 11 commencements, she sat right behind where I now stand in the famously uncomfortable chair reserved for Harvard's president. From 2007 through 2018, she led Harvard with wisdom and vision, mettle and grace. She led with a humane concern for the well-being of others, here on our campus and in communities near and far. She led with a devotion to academic excellence in all its forms and a dedication to how Harvard can better serve the world. Her accomplishments are many: opening doors, creating opportunity, launching programs, embracing innovation, envisioning common spaces, navigating financial challenges, raising new resources, championing academic values, catalyzing novel connections among Harvard's many parts, challenging us to learn from the past, and in her phrase, to seize an impatient future. If the measure of a leader is whether she has left her enterprise stronger and better, she has succeeded beyond measure. And she has done so with humility and humanity, with a historian's understanding of how to cultivate change, and with a bedrock commitment to how higher education can inspire discovery, drive progress, and improve people's lives. She likes to speak of her parking space theory of life. The idea that you shouldn't settle for a space blocks away from where you're going. You should drive first to where you want to be. This university, and all of us who care for it, could not be more fortunate that she chose to park her car in Harvard Yard. It is my privilege and my personal pleasure to introduce a treasured colleague, mentor, and friend, Harvard's 28th president and now the Arthur Kingsley Porter University professor, Drew Gilpin Faust.
And again, the whole Tercentenary Theater rises to its feet.
Honoring their former president.
Thank you, she says. The thing that I think impressed so many was also her prize-winning book, The Republic of Suffering, about the Civil War. And one hopes that she has time and sort of leisure over these next years to write another such book.
A luminous leader of this republic of learning, an opener of doors ever true to high ideals, a scholar of the past with a will to seize the future. Out of many Harvards, she drew one. Drew Gilpin Faust, Doctor of Laws.
She was born in Hamburg, the daughter of a pastor and a teacher. She grew up in East Germany in the days of the communist regime. She was a star student in Russian and mathematics and went on to study physics. In time, she earned a PhD in quantum chemistry and worked as a research scientist in East Berlin. Then, in 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, and she embraced what was to become her life's paramount purpose, the pursuit and practice of democratic governance. In December 1990, she won a seat in Germany's parliament, and her ascendancy in politics began. Minister for Women and Youth, Minister for the Environment and Nature Conservation, Secretary General, and then leader of a major political party, the Christian Democratic Union. In 2005, she was elected to her first term as Chancellor of Germany. As Chancellor, she was the first East German to hold that office. She has gone on to become the longest-serving head of government in the European Union and one of the world's most respected and influential leaders in the post-Cold War era.
Students are really cheering for Chancellor Merkel.
Through often turbulent times, she has been a steadfast force for reason, for international cooperation, for human dignity, for common values, and for democratic ideals. She has guided not only Germany, but Europe, charting the course of her nation and continent through the headwinds and cross currents of a changing world. We welcome and we honor the four-term Chancellor of Germany, Her Excellency Angela Merkel.
move in which people here are genuinely proud. This woman who is, in a sense, the de facto leader of the European Union.
Your speech this afternoon.
I remember the photograph of her.
Maybe as momentous as that Marshall speech in 1947.
May it be. I remember the photograph of her leaning across the table to address Donald Trump, who was sitting down with his arms crossed. And, you know, it is, this was, I think, at the G7 summit. She had some words.
Quantum chemist turned stalwart statesperson. Resolute in devotion to democratic values. A wall came down and she rose up, leading her nation with strength and savvy, and guiding Europe through challenge and change. Angela Dorothy Merkel, Doctor of Laws.
Consider it was a year after the Berlin Wall came down that she was first elected to the parliament in Germany.
In the name of this Society of Scholars, I declare that these persons are entitled to the rights and privileges pertaining to their several degrees, and that their names are to be forever borne on its roll of honorary members.
Degree candidates and their guests and all alumni are warmly invited to attend the afternoon session of Commencement Day exercises under the direction of the Harvard Alumni Association. The alumni procession will begin at 1:45 p.m. and the exercises will begin at 2:30 p.m. The commencement speakers will be Chancellor Angela Merkel and the President of Harvard University. The commencement choir director will lead us in the singing of the commencement hymn. Following the hymn, the Pusey minister will pronounce the benediction. The commencement exercises then being ended, the Sheriff of Middlesex County will declare the meeting adjourned. The audience is requested to remain seated until the President and Fellows and their guests have withdrawn from the platform.
Amen.
Lord, we ask today that you would free us. We ask that you would free us of all fear about the future and timidity about tomorrow. Free us, oh God. Free us of bigotry and bitterness toward others and an inflated sense of ourselves. Free us. Free us from cowardice in the face of danger, laziness in the face of work, and anxiety in the face of new opportunity. Free us. But once you free us, Lord, we also ask that you would fill us. Fill us with love that knows no borders or boundaries. Fill us with sympathy for all. Fill us with compassion that spreads wide and kindness that cannot be curtailed. Fill us with faith to lead us through darkness and hope that will guide us through despair. For once you free us and once you fill us, Lord, we just ask that you would use us. Use us to help heal the many republics of suffering across our globe. This is our prayer. This is our humble plea. Amen.
Walton, his final, really few weeks as Pusey minister here at Harvard, going off to lead another institution.
He's going off to become the dean of Wake Forest Divinity School in North Carolina.
Here comes the sheriff of Middlesex County again.
As the High Sheriff of Middlesex County, I declare that the meeting will be adjourned.
And now the bells ring.
There are bells all over Cambridge beginning to ring now. Every belfry in Cambridge pledged to ring for the next few minutes, including the great bells of Lowell House, the Russian bells that have been silent for almost 2 years, and they're ringing today.
And now these ceremonies come to a close. Our honored guests will recess out of the theater and through the undergraduates, and we'll see a mad dash of students, of parents, of family members, all leaving this theater, but with an extraordinary now sense of accomplishment. There will be ceremonies at the individual professional schools and at the houses where students will get their degrees individually, but officially it's all done. The degrees have been conferred. It is finished.
It is, and the wonderful feasts that follow, the picnics and spreads across the houses and the schools, a kind of celebration of what has happened and the future of all of these students. I think of the inscription over Dexter Gates that they all take along, enter to grow in wisdom, and from the inside going out, depart to better serve your country and your kind. And that sense of service that is sort of built into the gates of the university, I think very, very profound. Now this party is heading up the steps of Widener Library, as I think. Is that what we're seeing here?
That's what we're seeing. So there's a spread that the Chief Marshal's spread. I will be attending that in a few minutes. And that is a luncheon in Widener Library.
In Widener Library.
It's a lovely place. Of course, you never get to
I never get to go because I go back to Lowell House.
You have a more important job there, but perhaps next year you will come to the Marshall spread with me and we can celebrate.
That would be great. Well, North Rosie and I will need to run before very long because our rickshaw is waiting for us near John Harvard that will help us lead the Lowell procession back to Lowell House, back to the new old Lowell House.
There is Drew Faust heading off the stage. Doug Elmendorf, Michelle Williams, Claudine Gay, Alan Brandt, the wonderful
science and former dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences.
Had a very long struggle with cancer, and it's wonderful to see him back
on his feet. Absolutely. So here go the deans.
The hosts of the various honorary degree recipients. Janet Brown, a wonderful historian of science, expert on Darwin.
On Darwin, yes.
And Danielle Allen, who runs the Sackler Center on Ethics.
It's amazing how everyone gets in here in an orderly way, and utterly chaotic how it is that people end up leaving after these ceremonies. But you can see that we have a sort of cordon of hands up the central aisle.
I think with a certain amount of patience and good humor, everybody will get where they're trying to go, and it's just still such a wonderful glow on the entire crowd. Great sense of achievement, and again, I think we should end where we began, which is the sense of optimism, the sense of future. These students are leaving today with a new Harvard degree, but also with a mission to go out and really try to make the world a better place. And you know what?
They will.
Many of them will.
I think they will.
It's really wonderful to be here with you, Diana.
Wonderful to be here with you, Dan. Wonderful.
It's a great time to celebrate this incredible institution that really does spread hope and opportunity.
It is. So you take care of the environment, and I will try to take care of the religious pluralism and the cultural pluralism of our society and the rest of the world. And we will reconvene.
There are grand challenges to face.
Yes.
Now it's time to go out and face them.
Absolutely.
And celebrate with you.
Good. Happy commencement to one and all.